questions?
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Islands. Whether in regard to the incidents which occurred at the Melrose High Security Prison on 17th July 2025, you will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Prisons, Police information as to if an inquiry has been carried out thereinto, and if so, indicate the one, nature of the incidents, and two, number of prisoners and police or prison officers injured therein, and B, National Human Rights Commission information as to whether the Commission has carried out an inquiry thereinto, and if so, indicate whether he has received any preliminary or report or final report from the above name. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. First of all, respect for human rights, we all know, is the bedrock of any civilized society. And I want to make it clear that under no circumstances whatsoever will this government allow any violation of human rights in our country. We have seen far too many gross abuses in the recent past. My government will always uphold the sanctity of human rights and dignity of our citizens. The Mauritius Prison Service plays a crucial role in ensuring the safe custody, rehabilitation, and reintegration of detainees into the society. The service is committed to uphold the principles of justice, security, and human dignity while maintaining discipline and order within the correctional institutions. The prison service manages 12 prisons distributed across the country. Madam Speaker, the current situation in the penal institutions is challenging, with several issues affecting the well-being of the inmates and the effectiveness of the correctional system. One of the main challenges relate to security and issues such as violence, gang-related activities, and contraband of smuggling, of which pose really constant threats. During the existing security measures in place, despite of them, in our prisons, prohibited articles are still found in prison premises. They are introduced through different ways and means, including by pelting and even by drones, Madam Speaker. The prison officers regularly carry out search operations on detainees suspected to carry these prohibited articles. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that in order to enhance security of our prisons, he decided to carry out searches in all prisons. Consequently, the Prison Security Squad and the Correctional Emergency Response Team conducted a search at Beaubassin Prison on the 18th of May of this year. During that exercise, 47 cannabis parcels and SIM cards were seized. On the 12th, 14th, and 16th of July 2025, searches were carried out at 2 residential units and worship places at Melrose Prison. 33 mobile phones, battery chargers, and power banks were subsequently seized. On the 17th of July 2025, one superintendent of prisons was mandated to effect special searches at 5 residential units at Melrose Prison, namely Ebony, Talipo, PNQ, Kestrel, and Alamanda. At 8:55 a.m., the superintendent entered Ebony unit, which houses 124 detainees. Some detainees were collaborating in the search operation, whilst ringleaders were preventing them from collaborating with the prison officers and held them as hostage at one point. This situation led to a fight among detainees, I'm informed. At 8:57, the Commissioner of Prisons contacted the Commissioner of Police and informed him that he was anticipating a mutiny and asked for reinforcement to back up the prison officers. Very often, the mere presence of SMF officers serve as a deterrent. Simultaneously, the Commissioner of Prisons asked the Deputy Commissioner to proceed to Melrose to supervise the operation. The Correctional Emergency Response Team of Beaubassin were also requested to report to Melrose Prison. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that following the request of the Commissioner of Prisons, a specialized team from the Groupe Intervention de la Police Mauritienne, GIPM, comprising 1 Inspector of Police, 3 police sergeants, 7 police constables, together with a section of the Special Mobile Force comprising of 1 Inspector of Police, 2 police sergeants, and 12 police constables, were deployed to provide tactical support to the prison's Correctional Emergency Response Team. Throughout the operation, 5 prison units and their corresponding yard areas underwent comprehensive searches by the CRT prison officers. They recovered various prohibited articles, including miniature mobile phones and 1 pen drive and 1 SIM SIM card. It is to be noted that SMF personnel support the CERT personnel to bring prisoners to order. 2 federal streamers were used to keep the prisoners at bay. I'm also informed that 7 relatives reported alleged cases of brutality against the incarcerated family members and have formally requested the police for police inquiry into the matter. I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that minimum force was used during the search. We must not detract from the fact that the vast majority of prison officers have remained steadfastly loyal to the prison services and have continued to show a remarkable degree of professionalism in the discharge of their function. After the operation, I'm informed, all the detainees were medically assessed by the prison health service officers at the medical unit of the Melrose prison, and necessary treatment were provided to 9 of them who were complaining of pain. The medical staff was reinforced by additional prison health service officers during that period. I'm also informed, Madam Speaker, that one of the detainees was identified with an injury on his neck. He was attended by the prison medical officer who treated him and advised admission to the hospital ward of the Melrose prison, which he declined. Madam Speaker, I would also like to remind the House that it was under my government in 2012 that within the National Human Rights Commission, the following divisions were set up: the Human Rights Division, the Police Complaints Division, and the National Preventive Mechanism Division. The National Preventive Mechanism Division was in line with the obligations of Mauritius under the optional protocol of the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment at the signatory state of the protocol. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission that on Friday, the 18th of July, the National Preventive Mechanism Division of the NHRC received a complaint from the father of a detainee at Melrose Prison to the effect that his son had been the victim of brutality at the hands of prison officers. I am further informed that the Commission met on Saturday, the 19th of July, and ordered an immediate inquiry to be undertaken by the National Preventive Mechanism Division. You will also note, Madam Speaker, that Section 7 of the Mauritius Constitution prohibits any act of torture or inhuman or degrading treatment. The National Human Rights Commission is vested with powers under the Protection of Human Rights Act to conduct a full-fledged inquiry where violation of Section 7 has occurred. The ongoing investigation will examine inter alia, 1, the underlying causes of the disturbances inside Melrose Prison, 2, the manner in which the disturbances were handled by the prison authorities, and 3, the measures that may be taken to avoid such disturbances. On Monday, the 21st of July of this year, yesterday, the Commission received complaints from family members of detainees which would be taken on board for the purpose of the inquiry. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that no preliminary report has yet been received from the National Human Rights Commission as the inquiry has just started. A final report of its observations and recommendations is awaited, and once received, will be examined thoroughly and implemented. I also wish to inform the House that in line with our policy of transparency and accountability, I intend to make that report public. Madam Speaker, let me reiterate this government's deep-rooted commitment to promote full adherence to the principles of human rights underpinning the social fabrics of our society. When it comes to preservation of human dignity and upholding of human rights, we are guided by a philosophy of no compromise, and government will see to it that any behavior contrary to that philosophy will not be tolerated.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You have a supplementary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Honourable Prime Minister for his reply, and I believe we all agree that a mutiny occurred in that high security prison on that day. And in light of this development, and in view that there were interventions of different sections of the police force and prison forces on that day, he gave details, but I want to know how many police officers intervened and how many prison officers intervened during that mutiny.
I think I mentioned it, but I think I did mention it, but let me say, I have to give you the exact details. The special teams of the GPM were comprised of 1 inspector of police, 3 police sergeants, 7 police constables, together with a section of the SMF comprising of 1 inspector of police, 2 police sergeants, and 12 police constables, which were deployed there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. But Prime Minister, can you inform the House whether the intervention was also related to drug trafficking in the prison premises, and if yes, whether there has been any seizure of drugs? I understand there was seizure of mobile phones or other unauthorized objects.
As I explained, Madam Speaker, the Commissioner of Prisons decided that because there were lots of objects that were, as I said, thrown by pellets or even use of drones, he wanted to have to carry out searches in all prisons. First of all, he carried out a search at Bobassan prison, and during that exercise, I explained 47 cannabis parcels and SIM cards were seized. Then there were searches at Melrose prison. 23 mobile phones, battery chargers, and power banks were subsequently seized.
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he is aware of 2 separate and contradictory statements that were made by the Commissioner to the media in the aftermath of these incidents? 2 contradictory statements?
I've seen it in the press, but this is being inquired into.
Yes. Fourth. Your friend has asked also.
Yeah.
But you,
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether any inmates who were injured were transferred to a public hospital, and if yes, whether they were examined by independent medical professionals?
They were examined by the medical doctor there. He treated them, and then he advised that they be transferred, but that prisoner refused.
one prisoner. Yes. Fifth.
Yes. I believe the Honourable Prime Minister is aware that one Mrs. Toria Prayag was reported to have visited that high security premises, and it was stated that she had no permission from the Human Rights Commission. Is the Honourable Prime Minister able to confirm that?
In fact, I did inquire. She did go there on her own. I think it was in good faith. She's a former journalist. She decided to go there and to look for herself what has happened, and she has briefed the Commission on what she observed.
Yeah, I do understand, Honourable Prime Minister, that the person was there, she wanted to help. But if you refer to the Reform Institution Act of 1988, it is clearly stated who can enter the prison premises from the Human Rights Commission.
In fact, the leader of the opposition is right. It is very strict, but she went there as I think her instinct as a former journalist, she went there and she observed, and she has been called by the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission to explain, and she has given a report.
Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister what immediate measures will be put in place by the authorities to prevent such incidents in the future, and also, as he stated, to ensure that the fundamental rights of detainees are respected within our correctional system, Madam Speaker?
We are taking the measures as I mentioned. In fact, this is not the first time. In 2020 also there was a mutiny there, and so it's not the first time. The same sort of things with the SMF and all this were there. But we will wait for the report, and then we will, but we are taking steps at the moment, but we'll have to wait for the report.
Yes?
Yes. Can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm now whether the families of the injured detainees have been fully briefed of the situation of the detainees by the prison authorities?
I know they've met the members of the National Human Rights Commission, and they must have been briefed. They have made complaints, and the National Human Rights Commission is looking into those complaints.
You have one last? Yes. Oh, okay, then you do your last. Okay.
The first question. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in light of the fact that Ms. Prayag went there, and I think it's commendable that she did, is the Prime Minister prepared to review the legislation so as to allow spontaneous visits to ensure that we hear both sides of the story, which we are hearing now? One side from the Commissioner of Prison, one side from Madame Prayag. Is she prepared to review that aspect of the law?
I don't know whether it's wise to review it, Madam Speaker. The National Human Rights Commission have the authority to go there. So I think that would be the better. Otherwise, you'll have hundreds of people wanted to, you can see what chaos might happen.
But in this case, if I understand well, because it's one of my favorite subjects, she is a member of the National Human Rights Commission. She's not just a journalist.
Yes. The second question, thank you, Madam Speaker, is to ask the Prime Minister, in light of the fact that there are two sides of the story, and the Prime Minister has rightly referred to previous incidents, which has led, in fact, to no actions being taken, will the Prime Minister, can the Prime Minister confirm whether the police has already intervened to secure any CCTV evidence and any logbook, etc., from the prison so as to contain the evidence?
That was one of the first questions I asked. I want to make sure that, unlike what happened with the previous government, don't come and tell me the cameras were not working or switched off. In fact, the Commissioner of Prisons has secured all the cameras which were working. There are 550 cameras in all. I think
Yes, Leader of the
in all, I'm saying.
sorry.
But all the cameras have been secured, and the National Human Rights Commission will be able to visualize the films.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, Madam Speaker. My last question was on that subject, but I'll have another question. With regard to the inquiry which has started, can the Honourable Prime Minister state to the House what safeguards are in place to ensure that these inquiries are done in full transparency and accountability?
The National Human Rights Commission are doing the inquiry. I will have let them do the inquiry. The people we have put there, which are very independent, we'll see what happens. The former DPP is the head of the National Human Rights Commission, so I expect I will get a proper report.
Thank you, everybody.